Fans haters, hello and welcome back to my channel. Hi, I'm Erica. If you're new here, it's nice to have you. I hope you stick around and you subscribe and hit that little bell so you never miss a video with me. I do a lot on fitness and health and wellness and just like overall good vibes. I don't know. I just do things. Today we're kind of talking about my fitness as well as weight loss journey. It's probably more my weight loss journey than fitness because I personally have always been very active. I feel like some people, they go from doing really no activity to all of a sudden, going to the gym, lifting weights, and it's a little bit different when you've always been active. I don't talk about this very much, but I grew up as a semi-competitive dancer from the age of, I think, 6 or 7. I literally was spending 20 plus hours at my dance studio, literally was at my studio seeing and with my dance friends more than I was at home seeing my family. I also played lacrosse growing up, and then I did go to college for performing arts. So I went to a school in New York for musical theater. So then a big part of our curriculum within musical theater is not only singing and acting, but dance. So I was dancing multiple times a week for many hours, as well as on her dance team. So I've always been someone who's been very active. Now, I've also always been someone who has struggled in a way with my weight, considering I was always so active as a kid. Again, 20 plus hours at a dance studio on top of lacrosse and rehearsals for, the musicals and things like that. A lot of my friends growing up in dance, they were within kid sizes when I was already in adult sizes. And this was not in high school, this was early middle school and things like that. To the point where, I was tested at doctor's offices multiple times for PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome. If you don't know what that is, it's an issue with your ovaries, but I know one of the main symptoms is being very overweight or very underweight. And I've always had a good relationship with food, always ate pretty healthy. So I am just a full figure black woman, well, half black, but I know a lot of the world obviously right now is in lockdown, so I figured it was especially maybe could be helpful for some of you to kind of talk about this, to talk about my weight loss journey, but specifically within lockdown. Here in New York, we had a pretty strict lockdown from March to September. We had no gyms. No gyms were open in the entire state. So I went for about 6 months without any gym, and I still made tons of progress. And I actually lost about 15 to 20 pounds, specifically in lockdown. And that was all at home. During lockdown, I really didn't have much to work with besides my own body. I had my yoga mat, which what's that gonna do for me, as well as a single kettlebell, but a lot of my workouts did not really use a kettlebell, or they weren't necessarily designed for a kettlebell. For example, it's hard to do a bicep curl with a kettlebell because it hangs weirdly and you're just you just can't curl it as nicely, So I made a lot of progress specifically with bodyweight workouts, HIIT workouts, keeping my steps up. I feel like one thing that not too many people talk about is your NEAT, which is NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which essentially is the calories that you burn from exercise based things, such as, walking or going up the stairs, things that will still burn calories that get your heart rate a little bit more elevated compared to obviously just sitting down. Those things really add up. So getting your steps in as much as possible. I know I feel like it's over talked about, but those 10,000 steps a day really do make such a difference. I actually have this girl who I've been not working with, but I've been helping to try and keep her a little bit more motivated over on Instagram. She messaged me just saying that she's just been struggling, and I was like, oh, well, if I send you a little note every day to help push you a little bit, would that help? And she was like, yeah. And it's been about 2 weeks since we've been doing this, I think, and she, I think, went from basically not really doing anything. She's in lockdown in England, as, again, many of you are. And I basically have sent her notes saying, hey, you're going to kick ass today. Wake up, have your coffee, put your leggings on, and do some stretching, go for a walk, just kind of little things like that. It switches every day. But within those 2 weeks, she's lost 6 pounds just from those small changes, which is a big thing. I know there's a lot of questions I put a question box on my Instagram, which if you're not following me on Instagram, what are you doing? Go follow me. I'm really active on my Instagram, especially on my stories, and I just feel like I'm a fun time. But especially if you want to get involved in these videos, follow me on the gram. That way you can get involved. There was a lot of questions about, you know, motivation. How do I keep motivated? It's hard to keep motivated. I think sometimes when it comes to motivation, I feel like it's more about like, in a way, discipline. There are days, yeah, where I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna kick butt. I've got goals to chase and I'm gonna get them. But then there are days where I'm kind of just like, wake up and I just go. Like, I don't necessarily need that like fire to get me in the zone, you know? It's just more of my routine. Which, having it be a part of your routine, I think makes a big difference. Having kind of a designated time to do it in a designated space. That's a huge thing that I found in lockdown made a big difference. I mean, I do not have a big apartment, but I had a little area where I had my mat, I had my kettlebell, and I had like a resistance band, and I bought a booty band after like a month and a half. But having a few of those things all in one spot, having that be my designated, no matter what, that is my workout spot, I think it really makes a big difference. When it comes to more motivation, I know for me, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably know that I am a member of the My Coach School that is run by Lucy Davis Fit and Ben Halden, or My Coach Benji. Their program is amazing. The group is amazing. Having something that holds you more accountable is, I think, one of the best things to staying on track. And a best way to see progress. We've got an amazing Facebook group. Like, it is literally the most supportive group. On those days when I did not want to work out, when maybe I had a really bad day at work and I was just annoyed and wanted to like watch TV and like, you know, cuddle up on the couch, sometimes logging into the group and seeing everyone like chasing their goals and absolutely kicking ass made me be like, you know, I can do it too. And another thing that I found held me accountable was writing it down. This is the notebook I used in earlier lockdown. You can kind of see, like, I mean, my handwriting's not the best, but I would write things down. I would especially write down my food. Say, for example, this is a day where I wrote down hump day, yeah. So I would write down my food. I do have a food plan that I relatively stick to from my coach school as well. They do personalized diet plans, so again, highly recommend. If you want, I can do a full video on my coach school. I can do that if you want. Let me know. Comment down below. But you know, I wrote my meals, and again, writing them out and kind of planning them out is a big thing as well. I feel like that helps me not necessarily snack on like junk food as much. I don't know about you, but I'm big on lists. So I love having a list and being able to check it off. And even if you just partially check it off, ooh, the feeling you get, I feel like all of a sudden you feel so successful. Like, you've accomplished so much, even if you literally have just like brushed your teeth. Like, brush your teeth, check, damn, I did that, you know? And then I also write down my workout. So here there was an upper body day, and I literally wrote out what the movements were. Because again, if you can stick to it, and also look at all the water intake I had. Ooh, I was a hydrated girl, I was. But sticking to that split and sticking to those workouts, again, even if you don't do the entire workout, but still just being able to check it off a little bit more helps me stay more accountable. One of the questions which I just briefly touched on was macros, which tracking your macros and your food and calories is something that I have done. I'm not like a religious tracker, and even when I do track, I don't necessarily track every little thing. But I do think sometimes that tracking your calories, but again, for me more specifically, it's the macros. So macronutrients are your protein, your fats, and your carbohydrates. I think it's more important to track those compared to the overall calories. But in order to lose weight, so if we're talking about specifically weight loss, you need to be in a calorie deficit. There is no ifs and buts about it. If you are not in a calorie deficit, you are not going to lose weight. A calorie deficit is when your the calories that you are eating are lower than the calories that you are burning throughout the day. And again, that's from exercise, from NEAT, from just being alive. You literally burn calories. So if you don't track your calories or macros at all, you won't necessarily know if you're in a calorie deficit. A lot of people, until they start tracking, they realize that they actually are eating way over what they would think they are. Say for example, like a package of ramen. A package of ramen is actually 2 servings. So you're looking at ramen and you're like, oh yeah, this is a meal. But you're actually technically eating 2 servings, which is like way more calories than you think, even if you just kind of glance at the label and things like that. So, I feel like in a way, a kind of, I don't know, not to say it's a metaphor, but a good metaphor or comparison is like, you can't get on the highway until you learn how to start the engine, you know? So if you don't know how to track what you're putting in at all, you won't necessarily know if you're in a calorie deficit or maintenance or surplus. So you won't necessarily know what you need to do in terms of adjusting your physical activity or things like that. I don't think it's a necessary requirement, and you don't have to track forever. I'm not really tracking right now, but I also know what I'm eating. I eat a lot of the same things. I mean, a lot of mornings are either like eggs and veg, or it's like oatmeal, a protein coffee, things like that. So I eat a lot of the same things, but a lot of people can lead to having like a negative relationship with food if they track too much. I personally can't talk about that. I've never had a negative relationship with food. I've never really struggled from an eating disorder, which I know obviously tons of people have. So if you do have some amount of food and anxiety or tracking, or anxiety from tracking, like if you're not hitting those goals and that makes you anxious, I completely understand that. I just personally can't necessarily talk too much on that because I've never really experienced that. That kind of also brings me to then snacking. Snacking is a big thing. I personally love snacks, but you also need to know what you're snacking on. Again, that comes to kind of looking at those serving sizes. If you're gonna have something that's like a crunchy snack, like say goldfish, which I love goldfish, but I mean, those literally only the kid size packs that you put in like a sandwich box are 100 calories. And so I don't know about you, but I could eat like 5 of those in one go. So it's again, knowing what you're eating. For me, healthier snacks are going to be more like veg-based or protein bar. Try and think more whole foods. I know in one of my previous videos I did one of my favorite kind of snacks or like even light meals is cucumbers, tomatoes, mozzarella, something like that. That's like low calories but high protein. I think also relatively low fat. The only fat in there is from the mozzarella, so depending on how much mozzarella you put. So you have to kind of find those better alternatives maybe, or finding crunchy snacks that are more veg-based, or even making some yourself. I think it depends. I actually have a lot of healthy snacks on my Instagram in my story highlights, so possibly if you're looking for healthier snacks, or I should say healthier alternatives, check those out. But I personally believe that everything in moderation is completely okay. I mean, literally, I think every day last week I had a slice of pie for dessert. My leg, like sitting crisscross applesauce, but only with one leg, so I don't bump the tripod, and my hips like. Okay, so looking at some other questions. So there's a few things about like what advice would I give myself on the first day of my journey, or like what's the hardest part about my journey. I think in a way the hardest part is being kind to yourself and kind of like that self-love aspect of it. A lot of people, you know, they actually don't do well in their fitness or weight loss journeys at first because they're too hard on themselves. They're doing it as a punishment. You really need to find what works for you. And you really need to fall in love with the process. I know it probably sounds like, but like you do. You need to fall in love with the process. You can't just go and do something you hate every single day because that's not gonna work and you're probably gonna give up. I feel like that's what happens every New Year's. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm gonna go every single day. Like, don't do that. That's insane. Find a split that works for you. Find an activity that works for you. For me, I have a 5-day split and I absolutely love it. I love a 5-day split. I love feeling more active. I've tried different forms of splits, 4-day splits. I don't like them because I feel like every other day is a rest day and I'm just like, I feel like I need to move. So I have a 5-day split. I hit push on Mondays, glutes on Tuesdays, active rest day on Wednesdays, meaning like I'll do like yoga or go for a really long walk. Sometimes I run, but we know cardio is a scam. Thursdays are pull, Fridays are hamstrings, Saturdays are quads, and Sunday is like a proper rest day, though sometimes I also will scam myself into going for a run on Sundays. Throughout that, I also throw in boxing. So boxing was something that I got really into in January 2020. I was going for, a few months, literally going like every other day. If I wasn't there boxing, I was at my gym is a boxing gym as well as like a gym. That's where I work out. It's both. So, but something like that, it definitely kind of switched. It was new, it spiced things up, and I fell in love with it. I love the feeling you get from it. It is very cardio based, but it's secret cardio in my opinion, because it's so like strength and resistance based compared to just like running. If you're at a plateau, which there was a few questions about plateaus, I personally recommend switching it up, doing a different activity. Maybe do like completely like go up to maintenance for a week, kind of reset your metabolism a little bit. For me, I personally find that switching my activity is best for me compared to my food, because I'm just pretty routine with what I eat. But I think that's a big thing, is kind of just switching it up. Now, I would not say switching it up constantly. I feel like a lot of people, if they find that like their plan's not working, they're like constantly jumping from plan to plan to plan and this to that. Don't do that. Try and stick with something more long term, because if you track something more long term, again, you're gonna see where you're struggling, where you're really thriving, things like that. Let's see. So then, I don't know if I said this, but literally someone asked how much weight I've lost. So specifically in lockdown period, I lost about 15 to 20 pounds. Now I've lost actually just 30 pounds just the other day, which is exciting. There's some questions about like insecurities. So someone who's struggling with like their loose skin and how to, if I had any tips. So I personally don't have loose skin. I don't really think so. I mean, I'm just really jiggly all over, but I don't really have loose skin as a result of my weight loss. I think from my knowledge, I think you will get loose skin if you lose a lot of weight quickly, because it's not like your body's not adjusting as quick as the weight loss, if that makes sense. I know it might be hard dealing with it, but it is a matter of just being kind to yourself, remembering that your loose skin, your stretch marks, oh, I got stretch marks all over the damn place. Your stretch marks, your loose skin, all these little things that might make you feel insecure, they are part of your journey, they are part of your story. For me, I think I really needed to gain weight in order to be more comfortable with myself and really in order to love myself more. And now that I've kind of was at my heaviest I've ever been and had found self-love then, I'm so kind to myself now, and like my fitness journey, my relationship with my body is so much better. Those little things, like, wear them as a badge of freaking honor, because again, they tell about your story, they tell about what you've been through, okay? So that's that. I feel like I'm gonna leave this video here. I feel like it's actually been pretty long, and I don't think I'm gonna edit it too much, because I feel like I was like on a good vibe. So I'm gonna say thank you guys so much for watching. If you have made it this far, comment candle, because there's 7 candles next to me. Again, just thank you so much. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a comment down below. And without that, I'll just see you guys next time. So goodbye.